Okay, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic / Non-Classics. This is episode number 2798 and Doubleshot number 2692. The first we're discussing here is the last 11 issues of Just Like America, Volume 1, issues 251 to 261. Now, this is this is the end of Volume 1, plus it's also the end of Gerry Conway's time on Justice Like America. Now, he leaves with issue 255 and then starts off Dematius' very brief run he had for the title before the book was relaunched into Justice League International. First up, we have the basically what remains Justice League Detroit taking on Despero. Yep, in 251. Yeah, Despero's back. My guess is, I guess some people at DC must have realized, though, hey, the book is getting canceled, so let's have the Justice League fight some old school villains. First being Despero. Yep. Of course, some arguments between some of the team members. John Jones himself, also in these issues, is trying to reinsert himself as his John Jones identity, which is the first time he's assumed his identity since the 50s. So like Conway, I do appreciate the fact he was also using Batman. He's bringing back old characters, not one. So let's bring old concepts in Justice League, and hopefully that might sell. This one being basically, well, the John Jones human identity for Marsh Manor, and also bring back Despero, which smart idea. There's also this guy named Adam, who's sort of like a recurring villain in these issues, though these many issues anyways. And of course, first thing Despero sees when he arrives there, he basically destroys whatever is left of the Just Like satellite. And that's the last you see of the satellite. Yep. So yeah, they just have no satellite until the Brad Meltzer relaunch in 2006. Yep. Though it's a completely different design. The design itself, now they do have a watchtower. They have a watchtower on the moon, yes, but as for orbital platform space station, they wouldn't have one until 2006, where that one is actually based upon the Justice League TV show. And that satellite pretty much existed even after the relaunch. They kept the thing around. I think it did look slightly different, but kept the same design until it was destroyed on a Christopher Priest, and then magically came back and just checkmate where it's now a storage facility. Like, why the heck would they turn a prominent Justice League base into a storage facility? Makes no sense. And yeah, so. Yeah, Despero's back, and, well, yeah, of course, deal with him over the course of these final issues of Gerry Conway's time in the book. Yeah, as for why he leaves with 255, I've never asked him why he left the book, but he left. Yep. Of course, making people crazy. At one point, Gotham City is cut off from the world with no communication, so they just had to go rescue Batman, who was basically a hostage also by Despero. And in 253, we hear Despero's backstory. In issue 253, roughly 252 issues after this guy's debut, we learn this guy's backstory. And it's not done by Gardner Fox, the guy who created this character. Nope, it's Gerry Conway. Where it's like, yeah, it's like a world it comes like conquer. It becomes like a post-apocalyptic world, and apparently wants to become worlds like his own, kind of. That's the best way to describe it anyways. And then just like they're defeated by the end of 253, like, oh crap. And we went to 254, Conway's penultimate issue. Or like Batman's got his costume torn up. I love Luke McDowell's artwork here. It's so good. Yep, so in a way, this issue here kind of wraps up the whole Despero story arc here. But Batman's still chained up here. They'll just do free him. And then moving on to 255, which I think was this. I think this is Conway's last issue. Yeah, Zatanna's back. Yeah, she's back. First time in a little while, and apparently she's been kept in a hospital bed under straps since death of her father back in Swamp Thing number 50. Yep, and she suffers from a nightmare, which of course she gets free from her binds, and of course this guy Adam's holding her captive. It's interesting for what it is, and John Jones does this thing in here, and then like, okay, you think okay, we got more story going on here. Nope, it's like they should go back. It's like Conway just abruptly leaves before the book is even over. So now you have Jamie DeMatteis, basically, who the first thing you see is as you open the issue, John Jones on fire. Which, not long after this, he would do a March Matter miniseries. Excuse me, yeah, it's a flashback to that one there. And it's kind of weird, though, Conway leaves before we kind of wrap up the story with Santana. And it has to take, like, the first thing DeMatteis has to do, wrap up the Santana story. And he does a pretty okay job. I don't think it's terrible. Yep. And does it wrap it up there? Nope. It continues on for another issue. Yep. 257 is the conclusion of the Santana story arc. Yep. And then comes the end of the Justice League. Yep. Yeah, so it's been cosmic stuff, and then like right afterwards, like, and then like the book ends with Firestorm returning to the book, first time since the annual. And the reason why he's here, because he got his butt handed to him by Brimstone back in Legends number 2. Yes. So yeah, now we lead into the final story arc, the end of the Justice League. Yep. And each issue is part of the Legends crossover. It's like a chapter. Excuse me. Yeah, in chapter, basically issue number 250. Also, they changed the logo for the final issues. Because this logo here, that's been a logo since like mostly since issue 1. And then for some reason, I'm not really sure exactly why that J. Matthias did this for. He changed the logo for the last 4 issues. This. You're like, what? Yeah, and this 4-part finale, where like first issue is chapter 5 of the tie-in for Legends, and get this, in this final story arc for Justice League of America before its relaunch of Justice League, J. Matthias brings back Professor Ivo. Yes, old school Justice League villain who debuted back in Brave and the Bold number 30. The last issue they appeared in Brave and Bold before they got their own series, and he's back here, and he still assumes that Superman is part of the team, despite the fact he is not on the roster. Like, he has his chess players. Oh, we have this Justice League team. Nope, that's not the roster anymore. Nope. And then of course, okay, that actually revealed after issue 1, at least issue 1, basically, yeah. And after that, and there's this order. Basically banning all superheroes because of G. Gordon Godfrey's stuff, his speeches to the public, which they're all bullcrap. Basically, because it's all employed by Darkseid. Yeah, and then of course where Vibe saying that he blew it, and then of course Elongated Man, Veteran Slinger punches Vibe. And they get into a fight until John breaks him up. And Joe's like, "Hey, where'd you come from?" Mars. I thought that was funny. That was like, Jan, that was actually quite funny. Say, "Oh, yeah, where'd you come from?" Mars. Yeah, that was funny. And of course, basically, like, so he officially disbanded Justice League, despite the fact they don't want Justice League disbanded. Oh yeah, Gypsy running home, and then I'll read what happens as the characters later on. Then, and when Vibe breaks table, and then Ivo just unleashes some robots. I think he's Ivo. And Vibe is like fighting, runs the random guy, fights him, and then Vibe dies at the first part of this storyline. Yeah, Vibe dies in 258. Yep, Vibe, who debuted back in Just Like in number 2, just not even 2 years prior to this, and he dies. And then here's the thing: in 259, the third and last issue of this run, it's chapter 9 of the tie-ins. Even though it's part 4 of the story. Yep, and they put like a mask over him, and they confirm, yep, he's dead. And of course, Vixen is not happy with this at all. And like, so these cops are completely stupid. Like, yeah, these superheroes examine the body of their friend, and the first thing they do is draw their guns. Now here's the thing. Okay? This is stupid. You just walk up to them and talk to them. Don't draw your freaking guns. That's stupid. And of course he knocks the gun in their hand. He doesn't take away the guns. Yeah. And then you have Steel smash into the car, who's being angry. And of course it's bigger. Oh yeah, the person behind this is Professor Ivo. Obviously. And how would Marshmallow know that? Because he was there. Oh, by the way, in case you wonder where Batman is, he had to leave the team because of the Despero stuff. Yeah, then we have this other stuff here related to Gypsy in here. And of course, everybody's more in depth with their friend Vibe. And despite the fact that Steel and Vixen want to get involved with this, basically, like, but nope, Justice League disbanded. So then, of course, Gypsy is hurt. And then beats the guy up. And she is taken by Professor Ivo. Ivo's going nuts. And then, moving on to the penultimate issue of this run. 260. It's called The Shards of Steel. This is part 3 of the story, End of the Justice League. But for Crossover Legends, it's chapter 14. Yep, and then of course the android punches Marshmallow, and of course he proceeds to destroy him. Looking, I think this is for Vibe. Yeah, this is not basically Vibe's brother. No, this is a robot who replaced him. And Steel basically out of his uniform talking to Vixen. And it seems like though at one point one panel looks like they're about to kiss, but nope, not really. Then he basically goes on his costume and tells Vixen to move out of the way, and she does. And Ivo is being under therapy. And Steel just goes out. He just walks around in his costume. He is not bothering anybody. Yeah, he is not bothering anybody. Like, yeah, he may wear his costume, but who gives a crap? And, oh, someone a freak on the streets, and of course, oh, just because you have Steel just walking. He is just walking. So, police officers, still being stupid here, draw their guns. I should point out, though, Steel is not harming anybody. He is just walking around in his superhero costume. Did he attack anybody? No. Did he destroy any property at this point? No. Has he threatened anybody? Nope. Like, give your hands up, like, nope. And he realized when the police officer was an android. Yes, because the whole thing in the story arc relates to androids. Yes, and of course Gypsy has with Marshmallow, and Vixen goes out, and of course he fights this guy he thinks is an android. and carries the fake cop around. Of course, he splashes on Steele's shoulder, revealing his cybernetic parts. Fights the guy, exposes the cybernetism, and he gets shot in the back by the android. Like, oh, he's not human, he's a cyborg. And then the android kills him. Marshmallow Hunter. It seems like basically that the cops want to do something. Everybody's like, John's like, no, you do nothing. Steele. He's like, sad to see him. And the police officer, a complete moron. Like, of course, take you home. Sorry, Manhunter, you can't take you anywhere. And are you gonna stop me? No, I don't think so. Yes. The only reason police officers act this way because of Ronald Reagan's presidential order, like, oh, no superheroes. And then Marshmallow Hunter takes him to his grandfather. The same grandfather he beat up a year prior. And, of course, Hank is pronounced dead here. And then, of course, we move on to the final chapter of this run. Issue 261. Where it's like Crossover Legends Chapter 21. Where Ivo is in a cell, and of course you reminisce about previous encounters with the androids throughout the whole book. Oh yeah, there's also advertisement here for the Justice League relaunch, which happened right after Legends. So yeah, of course you have Marshmallow drinking with just mourning over death of Steel. He takes his device to go find Ivo. Yep. And then Vixen finds Ivo. Yes, Vixen. Someone who Ivo has never met before. Ivo still thinks the Justice League is still comprised of his family members because, well, that's what he knows of. And then, of course, fights all of his androids. And it turns out that the Ivo we've seen, the one in the suit walker, that turns out the one crazy one is actually the real Ivo, and he just put himself in a cell, and he just walks off, and then the Justice League kind of disband. The book just ends with basically in the monitor, and that's the book ends. Yep, that is the end of Justice League America, Volume 1. I gotta say, really interesting issues. Though I get the reason why the book wasn't selling too well, because a lot of family members weren't here anymore. The big guns were gone. At this point, Aquaman already left the team. Zatanna was gone too, and then Zatanna came back briefly. I think the reason why DeMatteis canceled the book because he knew the book was getting canceled. He was going to basically just set up the relaunch. So he's like, okay, let's just have it where we kill off Steel and Vibe because they're Conway characters. I'm sure either Conway gave permission to do that or Conway just didn't care at that point. I'm not sure what the deal was. It is shocking they killed off Vibe. Yeah, he was a okay character. Steel had a great backstory with him, and the fact he's also the grandson of another character that of course Derek Conway created just a decade prior to this with Steel, because that's the reason why like Steel was able to have a grandchild in the 80s. Excuse me, I debuted back in the 70s. There's a reason for that, because the book took place during the 40s. That was simply the reason for it. Now you might think, is this the only grandchild of Hank Haywood? No, this would be the first of two. He'll have another one named Nate Haywood, created by Jeff Johns for the Just Like America book, who became New Steel. And that version of Steel was adapted for Legends of Tomorrow, as basically the group's historian became, well, Steel. Though he wasn't having cybernetic parts in his body, he just injected himself with something. Yep. But final thoughts on Jeremy Conway's run in the book and this volume as a whole. This is of course his second run in the book. Really interesting. I don't think it was bad. It was a shame the book basically was not doing too well in sales from what I read. But I don't think any issues were bad. Just really good here. I found no bad issues this whole book. Yes, DeMatteis stuff basically writes cops where they're like, oh, let's pull their guns at superheroes. But that was because of Vince's story. That was the reason for it. and he would be influenced by G. Gordon Godfrey. But lucky enough, after this, everything is back to normal afterwards. We got new Justice League coming out of this who are based out of briefly Sacred Sanctuary, and then they get their own embassy with the GLI stuff. But what happened to many members? Well, Martian Manhunter would stay with the team with the relaunch, obviously. He is practically the only one who does. But what about Vixen? Vixen herself, she would join the Suicide Squad right after this. Yep. Like, right after this book got canceled, she joined the Suicide Squad. Like, it was like, as soon as the book wrapped up, I guess Osweiler really wanted her on the Suicide Squad, and she made it the book, until the book got canceled. And then she got involved with Birds of Prey and Task Force. And still occasionally Justice League stuff. You're like, okay. But the obvious question is when it comes to Justice League. Like, what happens to the rest? Vibe was still dead by the time the Flash relaunch happened, and he was brought back in New 52 as part of the Justice League America book by Matt Knott and Jeff Johns. He's still much around, except he's not doing anything. He just jumped through the portal, and that was it. Steel himself remained dead for years. Never brought back at all. Not even brought. I don't think he was brought. I think he may have brought back as a Black Lantern zombie. But what about Gypsy? Gypsy herself, I don't think did much after this book ended. Not really. Like, I think when this book ended, she joined the conglomerate right after this. Yes, that was next time she was seen. Yeah, she became the conglomerate, and they become just like Task Force for the end of that book, and then she became Birds of Prey. She didn't do a lot per se after, like, not a lot of things per se after Justice League America ended. She still occasionally showed up now and again, mostly put she was just part of the conglomerate, and then eventually she joined up with just like Task Force from like issue like 1 up until like the final issue. And Marshmallow basically was like a daughter, was basically like a second father to her. Yep. What are you thinking? Okay, what about the rest of the team? Elongated Man, he returned Justice League not long after this, so he's not gone very long here. Yeah, he's basically back Justice League like right after this. He's basically joined JLI like basically when it becomes Justice League International. But yeah, basically. But my final thoughts on this run for Justice League, of America. An absolute really good book. No necessarily bad issues per se, though early on they fixed the occasional reprints per se. But overall, really good book. I'll be right back. sorry about that. I just had to go. Alright. Next thing we're discussing is New Titans, issues 71 to 89, and annuals 7 and 8. Now, issues 71 to 84 is the Titans Hunt story arc, which anybody has ever watched Linkara's basically his Teen Titans retrospective, he is not a fan of the story arc. He points at this story arc as beginning the end of the series. Kind of, yes. Yeah, Marv Wolfman doing the writing here, and still got gorgeous artwork in the book. Yeah, so we have a bit of a celebration going on here in the issue, and then like various members of the Teen Titans get attacked by the Wildebeest, and basically people like Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, like some members get captured, including Jericho, and Deathstroke gets involved in the story too, as a supporting character. Yes, this was just after his ongoing series just started, so I guess Wolfman would just basically put him in the book continually for a bit, just to basically keep the book going. So he's hired by Steve Dayton to basically find out what happened to his adopted son, Garfield Logan, and he agrees to because his own son's missing too, and like there is like some unmaskings in here, and of course about halfway through the storyline, they basically have Dick Grayson. He gets heavily involved in the story, where he's trying to rescue Titans, but he has to escape without them, and eventually makes back to Titans Tower with Donna Troy. Well, actually, Donna Troy's not there. Then eventually something shocking happens. Titans Tower is destroyed in issue 75, and it is never built. Nope, never built. Not this version, anyways. Nope. They never built it for some reason. Yeah, though they eventually have Adeline, who's Adeline is basically, she is Raven's mom, and tells her to take some people down to the Sub-Basement 5, which is where the Titan sub is, which has to escape, and the tower is destroyed, thanks to Wildebeest attacking it. Now, why in the world is the Wildebeest attacking the Titan Tower? How do they get inside? And how the heck does the leader of the group know that Dick Grayson is Nightwing? Because it's revealed that Jericho is, in fact, the leader of the Wildebeest Society. Yep, and then randomly, like in issue 6, I think it was like issue 79, we lead into the annual. Yes, and number 7. Well, at the end of the annual, in the issue 79, we debut Terra 2 and the Team Titans. And the names are Kilowatt, Mirage, Druidwing, and why are they here? To kill Donna Troy. Yep. Kilowog, Mirage, Knight Rider, Prester John, Redwing, and Terra. Though this is Terra 2, she's actually a clone of the original Terra. We do have the first appearance in issue 79 of Elizabeth Adderman, who, oh boy, it's like basically she does not like the Titans. Yeah, it's like that Marvel Woman created this character as a replacement of Brittany Snow, because Brittany Snow was sort of a public antagonist for the Teen Titans, and she's only in these issues here just for a few issues. She's not really a big player till later on. Yeah, the story would lead into basically issue 79 led into the New Titans and number 7. Yep, and number 7. That's pretty much, yeah, it's not in 2001, but it's part of the thing. It's basically like the reason they're here. There's this guy called Lord Chaos, and he is taking over the future in their time, and they travel back in time. Oh, in case you're curious though, Well, Night Raider is just like this guy that looks like a vampire. They also have a version of Nightwing in the story called Deathwing. Yep. Oh, Tom Greenberg does the artwork here with this annual. And Mark Wolfman still does the writing here, but some of the artwork is done by Tom Greenberg. It's sad seeing the Titans Tower destroyed in issue 75. Actually, it was 76, I think it was. Yeah. So, yeah, Titans Tower destroyed. And, like, so we have basically this console woman blaming the Titans for all the destruction in the city. Despite the fact that the Captain Hall is like, no, they are not responsible for this. And, like, it's pointed out on TV that, yeah, it was basically the whole thing. Now, the whole destruction of the Titans Tower, that relates to Raven stuff. And we also have this Phantasm appear in the story. Yep. And then, like, this is kind of weird. So, right after the destruction of Titans Tower, they are whisked away by Red Star. Yes. Why did they whisk Red Star? Because apparently the Willoughby Society fired a rocket that contained Cyborg that landed in Russia, and they returned him into almost a fully fledged Cyborg, where, like, the only flesh thing you see is his face. Well, part of his face anyways. You don't see his arms anymore. He has this new bulky look now, which is a similar look he actually would assume in the New 52, but he's held to Russian technology, which they bring back and Red Star go with them. So, and then just Nightwing and Deathstroke basically just, yeah, finding out Cyborg is alive, but not responsive. Yeah, by the way, the Teen Titans are still held captive throughout a lot of this story arc. And then, like, issue 80 has the most weirdest... This is a weird thing with this one. So, we do more of the Teen Titans stuff issue 80. And 81 is by far the weirdest issue. So, basically, Terry Long, Donna's husband, basically is wondering, like, where's Donna? Like, he hears something from Donna, like, oh, is that Donna in their room? No, it's Pariah. Yes, Pariah. One of the characters from Crisis on Earth just pops up randomly in the story in the middle of this big story arc, just basically be a partial tie into War of the Gods. Yeah, that's the reason why he's here. My guess is the reason why Marvel opened allowed this character to be in the book because he created him. Yep. He did. And this was his sole appearance ever in this book. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. He never appeared in this book ever again after this. It's just a one-off issue where it's involving Donna Troy and going to look for the deal with the new Olympus. He also had Kurt Swan do the storyline. And then we have a 3-part finale where apparently we have this guy who claiming the true leader of the society, and by the way, the Titans are still held captive. And then it turns out that the machine hooked up to, along with some of the cast members, it turns out this all is dealing with the souls of Azarath. You're like, what the heck? Souls of Azarath? What's with the Wildebeest? Raven's mom, and Raven goes like red and has basically almost complete naked in this. Yeah, basically Starfire and Raven are almost completely naked, with the exception of like one loincloth covering their groin area. And then, of course, this storyline just sort of abruptly ends with the death of Danny Chase, which he was kicked out the team in issue 55. He's going to be Phantasm. Apparently, the whole thing Phantasm has to do was Dick Grayson's idea. Which, like, what? Yeah. And then, like, in part 2 of the story, Jericho's going nuts. He's like, I got the souls of Azrath with me. Yeah, his voice been fixed too. And then District has no choice but to kill his own son. Yep, and he remains dead until Jeff Johns brought him back for Teen Titans Volume 3. Yeah, it's surprising how long they kept him dead for. So, You would think, oh, Deathstroke has no kids now. His wife's left him. Both his sons are dead. Oh, don't worry. Marvel fixes that. It gives him a beautiful daughter in his solo book. Yeah, Deathstroke is gone, and then eventually, like, yeah, eventually, like, then we have Danny Chase dying, and of course Arella, who was Raven's mom. Yeah, she gets killed off in this issue. Yeah, she dies, and the Willoughby Society himself get completely destroyed. And then, like, the next two issues are basically the aftermath of, because of the whole thing of Phantasm character. And it's mostly they will debut, of course, they also have Panther in this storyline, too. I think Shamir debuted at pretty much around the start of it, and she's basically around here for the rest of the storyline. We also have debut in here of this little baby wildebeest, and is basically just, basically 85, 86 are basically deal with after threads of this very storyline. And then they kind of meet up, and of course, like, and then you have Changeling meeting Terra too. He's like, "You can't be Terra. You're dead. I saw you die." Which is true, he did. And Tails, the entire in number 4. Yeah, and there's a bunch of weirdness here with that, and of course, like, basically, like, the Teen Titans get sort of loosely inserted in here, which leads into the Total Chaos stuff. There's a comedy thing with issue number 87 with the Baby Wildebeest. Yeah, that's mostly put exactly what it is. And in these issues, in these last two issues discussed here for New Titans, I'm just going to discuss the annual too. Dick Grayson gets a brand new costume. Yep, he gets a brand new costume. Thanks to Starfire, which actually is Mirage. Yeah, so, yeah, in case you're curious though, when Nightwing popped up at Nightfall, it's thanks to these issues, that's where the new costume made its debut. I think it was issue 80s. Let me show the new costume, because basically, mostly he's wore this costume here, since the Jewish contract. I think it was I know one of these last few issues here, he debuted his brand new costume. He also gives himself a haircut. They also do with Aqualad in here, who's suffered from stuff related to oxygen, related to water stuff, so Aquaman's brought in to deal with that. Because I know it was like right after the Titans, right after the storyline that Nightwing gets a brand new costume. I'm trying to find it here. It'll take me just a minute here. Also, for some reason, there's this guy with the orange hair who has been sort of dating Starfire for reasons. Here it is. This is the new costume. If you're familiar with his parents' Nightfall, this issue right here, this is issue number 88. This debuts his brand new costume, which he would sport for about 5 years until he got a solo book. Yep. And then, of course, basically, then the ending of these issues lead into Total Chaos. But the last thing to discuss here is annual number 8, which is a Eclipso tie-in, which picks up where Deathstroke and number 1 left off. Yeah. It's called 1,000 Points of Light Part 2 Pressure, where you have the Titans basically trying to fix Cyborg, and Red Star is getting attacked by Garfield, and of course we all have the Calypso stuff going on too here. Yes, and do people get possessed here? Yes. So Eclipse possesses first Captain Hall, and then Red Star. Oh yeah, and also we get some in this annual here by the female vigilante, who in the solo book Deathstroke slept with. When they decided to do it, when she's getting changed in his bathroom. Oh, basically in their underwear. Of course they're gonna have sex because she's hot. He practically trained her to be a new vigilante. Yeah, and by the way, she's a single mom, and and of course Beastblade gets possessed too, and Cyborg gets sort of thrown in the fray. He also has no memory, and then of course, then we have the female vigilante where she's in here. And for some reason, at the start of this annual, Nightwing is wearing his disco attire. And then later on, it first starts out with his new costume, and then the new costume, and then disco, and then new costume, and disco costume goes back and forth for some reason. And like Cyborg just deals with stuff here. We have Starfire; she's possessed too, and then apparently this leads into Legion Annual number 3. But I do like these issues. I'm going to take a brief break because I've been talking for 45 minutes with this stuff. But I'm going to give New Titans issue 71 to 89 a 8 out of 10. It's a weird, confusing story arc that sets up a lot of stuff. But probably the most interesting thing related to this storyline is Pariah make a quick guest star appearance. Yep, Pariah. Which I think this storyline here was the first thing that was active since Crisis of Infinite Earths. Yeah, doesn't I find that kind of weird? Like, it takes him like 5 years to do something, like 4 or 5 years to do something after Crisis of Infinite Earths? Yeah. The New Titans annual, I thought that was really interesting. And this Eclipse annual was actually really good because here's kind of the thing. The Eclipse annuals ones I've reviewed so far, some of them are not that good. And this one actually is really good. I enjoy this one. Yep, so yeah, that's particularly a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do another like button. I'll take a brief break, have my shake, and be right back to do one more Comic Corner. Okay? Next video. Bye.